Hey guys, so we are going to just do a quick video on a review of the 5 types of chemical reactions, the 5 main types, and how to identify them as well as how to get the products. So our first one that I wrote out here is synthesis, and you can see that in a synthesis reaction, the reactants, the things that you start with, are 2 lonely elements. So 2 lonely elements. And when you're trying to identify, really, you need to have these kind of identifiers memorized. You just have to recognize them. You have to know them. If I say this synthesis, you know 2 lonely elements. So we're going to go over here to our list of examples just off to the right, and we're going to try to find a synthesis reaction. So 2 lonely elements. Here we have BaSO4. Well, that's a compound that's several elements bonded together, so that can't be. And here we have aluminum and chlorine. So when you say the names out loud, that's how you know this is barium sulfate. That's not one element. And right here, aluminum and chlorine, those are 2 lonely elements. So that's our synthesis reaction. Moving on, we have decomp, and there we're going to see one single compound. So you're starting off with only one thing. There should be no plus sign. So here, barium sulfate plus nickel. That's not one thing. That's 2 things being added together. Barium hydroxide and tungsten 6 oxide. That's 2 things. Again, a hydrocarbon and oxygen. 2 things here. N3F5. That's trinitrogen pentafluoride, and that is one thing. So that's going to be our decomp reaction. Next, we have a hydrocarbon plus O2. Now, a hydrocarbon, just as a review, remember a hydrocarbon, hydrogen and carbon. It can be a combination of any amount of hydrogens and carbons, and we can also sometimes see oxygen in a hydrocarbon. So we're looking for a reaction with a hydrocarbon plus O2. And that's always how it's going to be, hydrocarbon plus O2. And if we come over here, I don't see O2, I don't see a hydrocarbon. Right here, again, just 2 ionic compounds. So here I see a carbon and a hydrogen. And we do have an oxygen in there, plus an extra hydrogen, so there's 7 hydrogens. And there's our plus O2. So that is definitely going to be our combustion reaction. Moving down, let's pick a good blue here. So next I'm looking for a double replacement reaction, in which case I'll see 2 ionic compounds. I know it has to be 2 ionic compounds because it's double. So 2 things have to be replacing each other. So 2 ionic compounds. Here, how do I know? Well, here's barium. Barium's on the left side of the periodic table. So that's definitely ionic. And then nickel, that's just an element, so that's not right. And then here, okay, barium hydroxide and tungsten 6 oxide. So that must be our 2 ionic compounds, which would make our double replacement reaction. And last but not least, we have single replacement, where we have 1 element plus an ionic compound because we have a single element replacing another. And that's, again, you just have to look for those things to identify it. So here I see an ionic compound, barium's on the left side of the periodic table. So barium sulfate plus nickel. Nickel is an element, and barium sulfate is an ionic compound. So there we can identify any, given any reactants, we can identify what the type of reaction is. And once you know that, then you can go on to doing the products, which we'll do in the next video. Thanks, guys.